Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
Collector George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus. Historical.
We continue our coverage of Red Country, Joe's third standalone and the next First Law entry. This week, we read through Nowhere Fast and Times Change. So, let's get started. As usual, folks, you know the deal. We got to thank you for your support so much that we just got to hug you to death.
Yes, I am hugging you with my soul.
We appreciate the comments we've been getting on the podcast episode, specifically by one. I think his name is Jose on Spotify. My good sir, you have brought tears to our eyes with your last comment. So kind.
It's true. I think you made all of our days. We are all chronically depressed, and the podcast is the only thing that keeps us afloat.
We need validation.
Yeah.
External validation, because
Everybody who doesn't comment from now on, like Jose, if it's not positive, we're just gonna delete you because that's what censorship is all about. Oh, sorry, I'm getting confused. My
yeah, no, and you can't delete the comments. You got to delete the people. We just got to make them disappear.
Oh shit!
Well, that's what the Inquisition's for, right, Archlector?
Yeah, I'll get right on that.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like you've been slacking a little bit in that department.
Can I record?
But yeah, we just want to thank you all for your continued support. And just don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms, on our YouTube page. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't yet, which at this point is a bit, it's wild, but you never know. Some people like to live on the edge. Well, get off, step away from that edge, and just follow and subscribe. But in the meantime, let's get this going. So, for a community interaction segment, basically just go ahead and join the subreddits of the First Law, or the House of the Meme Maker, or the First Law Discord, or our Discord. We will shoot you a link to at least our Discord. We don't have the authority for anything else, right? So
yeah, we basically are. It's definitely kind of a dry spell right now because there just isn't much going on in the Joe Abercrombie community. So we're all you got. Okay. If you don't listen to us, audience. You're not. you Abercrombites. You rely on us. You need us for your fix. Or you could just reread the books again. Yeah, you could just one or the other.
That's what I do. All right. So now we'll move on to our first chapter read through, which is Nowhere Fast. Now, I wonder, where could we pick up after we left off, right? Well, turns out we pick up from with Temple and Shy. And we're starting off in Temple's perspective, and they are careening down the mountainside away from Beacon on that fucking giant wagon that has the cannons and the gold from the dragon people. And this wagon is being pulled by 6 or 8 giant horses. And
yeah, these are Union horses, real big horses.
Okay, is there anything that says that there's other horses are shorter or smaller or something?
There's nothing in the lore that implies that at all. Okay, but you can assume, though, to be honest, that these are hauling horses, and the Union definitely does breed horses, so they probably are a different kind of horse.
Imagine, think of the Budweiser horse from the commercials back in the day, like those Clydesdales.
That's before my time. I'm sorry, Jim.
Yeah, you're a youngin', but Clydesdale. That's what we're thinking here. So basically, this thing is, like I said, flying down the mountainside, taking dangerous turns. Temple is about to shit himself.
I don't know, Jeffrey. It seems like he's also having a good time.
At first, he's not. He's screaming, Shy's yelling, hold on. He's like, what the fuck do you think I'm trying to do? And, she's out here pulling on the brake lever, right? As they're taking, these fucking crazy turns. Have you ever driven in a mountain road, especially in Europe? These things are fucking terrifying because there's no railing. It's steep as shit. The road's 8 centimeters wide. You're fucked, right? So anyway, And what Harrison was alluding to was that he is terrified, but also e- ecstatic, right? At some point, after after that first turn, he punches the air. He's like whooping as loud as he can, and he says, "Fuck you, Casca!" Oh, and he's like, "I'm alive. I'm free. I'm
Something to
rich."
note too is that he's still pretty drunk.
Yeah,
This
let's
is
not
like,
forget that.
yeah, he's like, this is very very familiar. You know, you're like, you something crazy happens when you're drunk, and you're like, whoa, whoa, and then you're like, you know what? This is the coolest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, no, our boy is hammered. Oh boy. And so he's like, "We did it." And she goes, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Didn't we?" And she's like, "We did the easy part, which is, getting this away, but they're not just going to let this go. They're going to be chasing us." Not with the money, not how we insulted them. And he goes, "Oh."
This
And he's
whole
like,
little
I like how he goes, "But they'll be coming after us." And she's like, "That was the whole point. To take him away from Lamb and Savian." Stupid.
I like how this whole section here is like almost cartoonish. They're like going down in a wagon. Super. You guys both looked to the right at the same time, and it was really weird.
Sorry.
I was like, am I missing something? I love how cartoonish this is. You know, like they're going down this mountainside and they're in a wagon and they're like, yeah, we did it. Not Casca. Oh my God, Temple is like, yeah, we did it. Fuck you, Casca. And then they're going super fast and everything is crazy. And she's like trying to still brake, and then the fucking brake handle like breaks off. And she's like, well, that's the end of that, and just tosses it to the side. It's actually pretty comical. They're like full blown like just cartoon characters running away from the bad guys now at this point.
It is definitely like the most like a climactic set piece, like in a film, out of any of Joe's books. Like this is, it's very
Wagon
very
chase scene.
cartoony. Yeah, wagon chase scene.
What is this, Assassin's Creed 2?
But it's great, and I like how Temple at one point he even says like, maybe we should leave the wagon, take 2 of the horses, and take as much money as we possibly can, and just get out now. And she's like, "No, we need to give them more time." And he's like, "Fuck." Courageous self-sacrifice was the self-sacrifice part. Was the problem? So then another crazy turn, another yanking on the brakes, and this time, the brake lever comes off. Oh, and they're like, "So what do we do now?" And she's just like, "I guess not. We don't stop." And he's like, "Oh my God!" And now they're out of the mountainside, like out of all the where it's heavy forested, and now they level out onto a plateau. And she's working the horses as much as she can. Shy is. And Temple could see far ahead that he sees the horses scattering, which is the herd that they stampeded with Dab Sweet and Crying Rock. He thinks, those 2 are over there, just shepherding them, I guess you could say. And Shy asks him, "Hey, is anybody following us?" And he looks back and he's like, "No, no one. Wait a minute. There's a rider. Oh God. There's more riders. Oh God." And she's like, "How many?" And then he basically tells them, he does like a little humorous thing, like 3, 4, 5, no, 7. Ah, fuck. He can't keep track. There's a lot of riders. And now they're fucked because now somebody, and we think we know who from the last chapter, has managed to procure enough horses to chase them down. And then we switch over to Shy's perspective. And the reason we switch over to Shy's perspective is that she tells him to drive. And Temple goes, "You want me to drive? I don't know how to do this." And she goes, "Well, are you going to fight them off?" He's like, "All right, I'll drive. Never mind." Temple's he's funny like that. And so basically what happens is Shy gets to the back of the wagon, looks back and sees the 7 riders and realizes she just has a sword, a knife, and her bow. So she does the smart thing here, which I don't know how smart it is, but I guess it's pretty smart. She takes her sword to break into the padlock where the wagon's holding the treasure. She goes into the hold after bending her sword, and then she basically grabs a sack of treasure, cuts it open, and starts throwing money back, right? Like,
This is smart, yeah.
towards the riders, and the riders are still like far away. But so she's, she basically empties out one sack, goes, gets another one, hits her head along in the process, and throws out more money. And then basically she sees that at least 2 riders gave up, right? But the other 5 were still coming on.
I like how twice during this little section here, she Temple's like, "Hey, are they still following?" And the first time she's like, "No, I killed them all." And then the next time he asks, she's like, "They're having a fucking lie down before they get here." Like they're just. I love that he asked the question. It's so very Temple. He's like so anxious about it, and how she's just being a smartass. It's great.
And she's like, "Duh, what do you think, motherfucker?" And so basically, the riders are coming close. And so I like how before she gets her bow ready, and she's scared because obviously it's 5 against 1, really, if you think about it, because Temple's driving.
Yeah.
And she's scared, and she has her bow at the ready with an arrow knocked. And, better to do it than live with the fear of it. Better to do it, right? Which is basically how we signed off the last episode, which is great. And then she comes up. The closest rider was like 5 feet away or whatever. So bang, catches his horse. A couple horses die in this segment, folks. So sorry about that. I don't like it when the horses die. And then she hears Temple praying because she hears him muttering something. And she's like, "Are you praying?" He's like, "No." She's like, "Well, you better start." And this time she comes up again, and this time a rider must have seen her and was shooting arrows from horseback, like a very skilled guy, very much like a Mongol or a Hun, right? And the arrows are just forcing her to like lay low. Basically, after like a little trickery of her putting her bow up, making him think it was her. As soon as he shot his arrow, she pulls up, shoots her arrow, gets his horse. She
does the sniper's trick,
Yeah, she does a sniper's trick, and then she hears commotion behind her. She looks to the side, and another rider had jumped onto the wagon. Well, this guy, he's already on, and basically they scuffle, right? And basically, she cuts him in the leg, or she gets cut in the leg, I believe. He gets cut in the arm. And then the wagon keeps bouncing, obviously, because it's not like completely flat terrain. There's some rocks, they're crossing over some streams, things like that. And then he has her. They grappled at one point, and now he has her kind of like bending her backwards over the side of the wagon.
Yeah, because there's like a parapet on the wagon too, so that's why it's got a little bit of a.
Yeah, and so she manages to wriggle a little bit, and then launches her head forward. Basically, takes a huge chunk out of his nose, just bites right into it, and then he
looks at her and goes, "Clever girl."
He basically bowls her over, and she doesn't fly off, but she swings backwards. But she's able to land on the side of the wagon. It still has her arm on the parapet. And she almost falls, but she manages to pull herself up. And she sees that Temple must have seen what was going on and is like choking this guy out. He has his arm around his throat. So as soon as Shy can pull herself over, she grabs the knife that the guy has and basically is like forcing it towards his chest. And he's like praying and can't take. He's like, no. She's like, sorry, I got to do it.
It's pretty brutal. I always like how Joe does this. Like even in these moments, you're like, yeah, look at her go. Like, look, she's being smart and creative. It's a good little fight scene that we haven't really gotten in a little while. I mean, I know we had a big one there in the mountain, but like kind of a not one sided whenever Logan's involved. And and even still, though, he takes the moment to be like, this guy really doesn't want to die.
Yeah.
Makes you feel just a little bit
guilty. Yeah, a little guilty, right? And so she stabs him. They fall, right? And she falls on top of him while his body's on the wagon. she realizes she still has a piece of that guy's nose in her mouth, so she spits it out.
Ew, gross.
Her and Temple, they look at each other and she goes, wait, who's driving? And then at that moment, classic movie moment, right? The wagon just fucking careens. Then there's a break and we go back to Temple's perspective. And Temple comes to and he's like, oh, God, oh, God. And he sits up and so Temple comes to and he looks around and well, the wagon is all fucked to bits. Money is everywhere. When I say money, I mean gold is everywhere. I think even the cannons are strewn about. Luckily, the thing that was holding the horses that was hitching the horses, I guess they call it the tongue, that snapped. So the horses are at least they're free, and
The horses are free. Yay!
The horses are free, and they're like, "Fuck this! We don't need to carry this heavy ass shit no more." And they're gone. So he starts
horses
looking
live
around.
happily ever after.
Yeah, and he sees that Shy is basically sitting in the middle of like all the treasure. He starts running to her, and she's trying to stand, but she can't. She says that her leg is fucked. I guess either
Which
stabbed,
again, I
broken.
always appreciate Joe. Normally, if there's like a big thing that happens, typically somebody gets injured, even if they don't get killed. So if I guarantee you, if there was a if there was a bad guy, a mercenary up on the wagon with him, he would have totally been dead immediately.
Yeah.
But I do think that Joe still does a good job. Like Shy, our girl, her leg. No, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, and also I see what you're saying. I know what you mean, but I think like this, like the wagon just if it must have hit something, right?
Yeah.
And then just flew in the air, and they probably landed not far from where they were already at when they were fighting the Kantic guy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
there's
no, I
way-
know, but it's
there's
still
no
like
way. But man,
they're
in
still
a
going really fast.
I know. Yeah, that's true. In a movie, you already know they would have fallen 300 feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the wagon would have blown up.
Yeah. Somehow.
There was gunpowder in the wagon.
No. And I like how Temple, after she says her leg's fucked, he asks her anyway. He goes, "Can you use it?" She goes, "No." Hence, fucked. So good. So then he's like, "All right, do we got a plan yet?" She goes, "Kill you and hide in your body." He's like, "Oh, that's better than anything I got." So
Is that do you think that she was body snatched by Yuri Sulfur just there and that she wasn't joking?
what happened? She was-
Nothing.
So what he does basically is he hooks an arm around her and he's like, "All right, looks like we're gonna have to hop somewhere. We're gonna have to basically he's just gonna help carry her." And she says that she apologizes for getting him into this, and he's like, "Look, I got myself into this a long time ago." To him, he's being very much like, at some point or another, my life was gonna lead to something like this, I guess. And Shy tells him to leave her and run, and he goes, "Tempting, but I already tried that and it didn't work out too well. I'm trying not to make the same mistakes over and over these days." And she goes, "How's that going for you?" And he goes, "Well, right now it could be better." But it's nice that he's not, gonna leave her. And then we hear a voice say, "Hey, Temple," and it's a single horseman, and it's Braccio.
Don't you mean Braccio?
Braccio. Linguinio. Anyway, I'm gonna take that out.
He's on his horse. He actually didn't say "Hey Temple." He said "Mamma mia."
He goes, "That was quite a chase. I didn't think you had it in you." Hey.
Hey Temple, your family.
He goes, Temple goes, "What a pleasure." And he does this thing I like that Joe points out, and it's very it's sweet, right? He twisted around. He basically put himself between Shy and Braccio. A pathetic effort at gallantry. He was almost embarrassed, but he felt her take his hand, fingers sticky with blood, and was grateful, even if it was just to keep her balance, right? And it's like, that's very sweet.
I think it's important too. Like, obviously, typically, and like Shy is usually being the protector, right? Because she's the more physical one. She's the more capable one in the moment. But I do think it's nice that like she appreciates that. I really like that that trope of the kind of quote unquote physically weaker man still trying to protect his woman. I think it's very sweet when it's done right. And I think it's done right here. It's very subtle. I think
Oh, it
you're right.
is. Absolutely. Absolutely. And at that time, he also notices there's the second rider, right? Because the three have already been taken care of. These are the last two. The second rider is a little bit actually above them, behind them, a little bit on the rise with the flatbow loaded. And, you know, they kind of banter with each other a little bit. Braccio says, I told the old man you couldn't be trusted, but he always had the blind spot for you. All right, I'm going to stop.
Yeah, he basically is just like, yeah, sorry, I'm not taking you back. Like Temple, you know,
right. Because Temple tried to wheedle, right?
Yeah, but I do like how Braccio is also in this conversation. He's kind of like, you know,
I don't want to kill you, but...
Braccio's the best man in the company. So he's like, I don't know if I don't really want to do this, you know, like this is tough for me, Temple, but you kind of crossed the line, you know. If I don't do this, this could come back to bite me, you know. I don't have really any choice. I'm just a leaf on the water.
Yeah, no, he says Casca's on his way, who wants everything tidy. That means you dead. He goes, look, it's at least, you know, I like you, Temple. I always have you, easy to like. And this is exactly what you're saying, Harrison, because Temple goes, but you're going to kill me anyway. And Braccio says, you say it like there's a choice. Temple goes, you know, and he blames himself. He says it. I blame myself. I always do. Just, he looks at Shy, and then he lets go of Shy's hand, and he looks at Braccio, and he just goes, maybe you could let the girl go. You could do that.
George, can you do Braccio's accent? It's a weird one in the audiobook. It's not Italian, as funny as that would be.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's not. George knows it because he's laughing because he knows how funny it sounds.
I can't recall it at the moment, to be honest.
He said, he's like, let's see if I can do it. He's kind of nasally, remember? He's like, believe it or not, I get no pleasure from killing women. He's like kind of nasally.
Really? He does?
Yes. That's because he's supposed to be like stuck up, right? So he sounds kind of sniveling, but he's not highborn. So it's, I don't know. George could probably do it better if he heard it.
I can't think about it right now, but yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
So he's like, believe it or not, I have no pleasure in killing women.
Yeah. And Temple, he knows how people work, right? He's been with these mercenaries for a long time, and he goes, yeah, of course not. And you wouldn't want to take a thing like that back to your daughters. And the Bratch, remember, he has daughters, and he wants to take souvenirs back to them. And he drops to his knees, and he clasps his hand like as a prayer. And he does send up a silent prayer, not for him, but for Shy. She actually deserves saving. This is what it's like, oh. And he goes, it was all my idea, all me. I talked her into this. You know I'm awful like that. And she's as gullible as a child, poor thing. Let her go. You'll feel better about it in the long run. Let her go, I'm begging you. And Braccio is surprised. He goes, well, this is quite moving. I kind of was expecting you to blame her for the whole thing.
This was quite moving.
And even the other guy with the flatbow, he's like, yeah, I'm somewhat moved. Yeah, absolutely. And Braccio says, look, we're none of us monsters, but she tried to rob us, whoever's idea it was. And the trouble her father caused, a.k.a. Lamb, a.k.a. Logan, a.k.a. Yonder decapitating madman. He goes, nah, Casca wouldn't understand. And it isn't as if you'll be repaying the favor. And Temple goes, no, I wouldn't have thought so. And he just wanted to delay the inevitable, I guess. And he goes, would it help if I said I was very drunk? Bratcher goes, we all were. What about shitty childhood? My mom used to leave me in a cupboard. Shitty adulthood?
My mom used to leave me in a cupboard.
Whose adulthood isn't shitty, right? So he goes, all right, stand up then. I'd rather get it done quick. They don't want to be hacking away. And Temple looks back at Shy, who's sitting there exhausted, and she goes, what did he say? Because I guess they were speaking in Styrian, I assume.
Yeah, I would assume that as well. Which is a good touch, Joe. Well done.
Yeah.
Again.
And so he gave a shrug. She nodded. Even she ran out of fight.
Nothing personal.
And he looked up at the sky, and just like that, like you said, nothing personal. And Temple closes his eyes, and he goes, "Hard not to take it personally." And Bradshaw was like, "I guess so." And then Temple's, waiting. There's a rattling sound, and he's always he's thinking about this. He's dreamed of facing death with some dignity, like the way Kadia had. But dignity requires practice, and Temple had none. And he couldn't stop himself from cringing. I could have sworn crying too. Like,
I love that Temple is like got his eyes shut like forcefully, like like they do, like just like like scared all the time. Like I like it. It's very in character, but I like it's again Temple's so like storybook character. Like he's just like squeezes his eye, then he opens one eye when he thinks that something's happened.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, because he hears a couple of noises, like a couple of clicks, a grunt, and then the clattering of a sword falling. So he's like, "What the fuck?" So he looks, one eye open, and Brachio is surprised. There's an arrow through his neck and 2 others in his chest, and he just fucking tipped over, and Temple turns around, and the guy with the flatbow had vanished. So it's just his horse standing by itself. And Shai goes, "Here's a surprise." And Temple looks around, and there's a horse approaching, and it's fucking Corlin. And Corlin goes, "Yeah, it's a pleasant surprise, I hope." A little late, but I guess we'll live with it. And then there's about 36 other riders accompanying Corlin, all well armed and some armored, men and women. And some people Temple swore he recognized from Kreese, others that he didn't know. And some
they all have things like they're all tattoos. Doom to the Union, death to the King, rise up.
Oh fuck, the rebels. And then Corlin sees that Shai's arm is all jacked up as well. So she starts, doing the whole bandage work, because you remember that's what she was. She was the healer in the Fellowship. And she looks, as she's doing, she asks, where's her uncle?
She's asking where Savian is, basically, and they said they don't know.
He's in Beacon, last they know.
Yeah, but they don't really know. She asked if he's alive, and so they're like, we don't really know. They're like, well, they found out he was Conthus, so who knows? And she was like, really?
That's so.
And then she kind of takes off her jacket, presumably with a bunch of tattoos there too, and she's like, "I'm Conthus." Dun dun dun.
The way Joe did it is like really cool, because she goes, "That's so," and then, like I said, she started to unbutton her coat, and then I think it's Temple. It's starting to go into like a little diatribe. He's like, "Well, Lamb," and then someone goes, to give him some time. And the reason is because, like you said, as soon as she shrugs off her coat, her entire body, from neck to wrist and everything, just fucking maybe worse than Savian, right? In terms of the tattoos.
Yes.
Oh man.
But it's only half her body. She's not only Conthus, but she's also. I'm kidding. No, I was gonna say that she's also Fenris the Fifth.
Oh.
She takes off the mask. She takes off another mask. Oh. I am reformed.
Reformed. Well, so I like how Temple and Temple Shai are like, and she's like, uh-huh. And so she goes, "Looks like you came into a little bit of money." And Temple's like, "Yeah, lawyers' fees and everything." And then Shai goes, "We could use a couple of horses. Casca won't be far behind us." And she goes, "All right, well, we have 2 spare," as it goes. And the 2 spare meaning Brachio, the other dude's horse. And then Shai goes, "I don't suppose you feel like haggling." And then Corlin goes, "With you? Nah, fuck that. We're just going to take it all. Let's just call it a generous contribution to the liberation of Stark Land." And so she snaps her fingers. All the dudes start, like, just picking up all the money. And then they give him the horses, and Temple, a few moments ago, Temple had been rich beyond the hopes of avarice, but a few moments later, he had been on the point of losing his head. It felt rude to complain about this outcome, and he whispers, "A noble cause. Do help yourselves." And that's the end of that chapter. Boys, how do you rate it? George, why don't you go? Yeah. Please.
Yeah, I enjoy this chapter. It's a bit of a romp, isn't it? It's very fun.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
of the other chapters so far, like in the last, especially this end of the book, are very serious and quite depressing. And this is it's just the opposite. It's just a fun action scene, and I just think it's brilliant. I think I'm going to give it a 7 and a knuckle.
Yeah, no, it's a great one. I love it. I think I'm going to give it a 7. To be honest with you, too. It's basically what you said. It's like this is like the getaway, right? The high stakes getaway, and Temple is euphoric. He thinks they did it. They're rich, but he's so drunk he forgets that wasn't really the point of what they were trying. Shy in great moment of badassery, right? Fighting off the guys. Then you have Temple coming to her rescue at that moment, and then the very comedic, like perfect timing in terms of like comedic moment where it's like who's driving, and then we almost think it's the end, right, for Shy and Temple with Braccio arriving, and then we have Corlin coming to the rescue. Corlin, who finally makes her reappearance, who conveniently left the scene up in Chris. Anyway, love it. So I'm giving it a 7 out of 9 as well. How about you, Harrison?
I think I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 9.
You picky bitch.
I know. Well, it's just a little.
It's a little what?
It's a little campy.
That's what me and George love about it.
A little campy.
Yeah. Well, you know how I am.
What? What?
How dare you, sir? This is too
pretentious.
I like this shirt. I like this shirt. I like this book less than the others, and part of the reason why is because like what's gonna happen here, other than the Conthus showing up, and the Conthus reveal that I was talking to you guys about this right before we started is probably like we should rate all the reveals of the series, because I would say this is pretty close to the bottom. Almost all the time, Joe's had this review where they're like, "That's right, I'm actually this person." You have Baez, who is obviously the mastermind, the man behind the man behind the throne. Always had been. That kind of deal. And then now that was for the whole trilogy. And then inside of Best Served Cold, you had Shanks being like, "That's right, it was me who saved you and doctored you up." And then the heroes.
And then don't forget the revelation that Benna was plotting.
Benna! Yes.
Benna.
Yes, you had that reveal, and that was pretty good. Both the culmination of that together was nice. And then, that also was being genuine too.
And the heroes what?
And the heroes, well, found out it was Baez all along again. What?
What? Between Foss Deep and
no, what I mean is though, like, yeah, well, no, because Baez is like he actually is the one who fabricated Calder getting up to the throne, right? He's the one who fabricated the majority of that. He
didn't. He didn't. Remember, Shivers was completely.
Well, I know, but the Shivers, they said that they got lucky with Shivers, but everything else, he paid Stranger Come Knocking to back him. He paid Foss Deep and Shallow to protect him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he did everything. He was wanting him to take the throne, Jeff. That he just said he got lucky with Shivers.
Right, but yeah, I don't think somebody was gonna. Besides, I don't think anybody else was gonna attack Black down the circle though.
Well, that wasn't the plan. The plan was to make it to where to let Calder prove that he's better, or have Black Dow killed in battle. The point was he was trying to get Calder on the throne.
I see what you're saying, like long-term machinations, but then the circle would have fucked things up if Shivers didn't.
Yes, and Shivers is part of the reveal too at the end, but also how it's handled is really, really well. Here, we hardly know Corlin. We get some hints. She Deus Ex Machina pops back into the story and goes, "That's right, I'm the rebel leader." She picks up all this gold and then fucks off. Maybe she'll pop up in some future stories. That'd be cool. But Savian's better, so
I agree. You muted yourself. Sorry. I agree. Savian is better. this reveal did happen really like quickly, right? You could say,
Yeah.
well, and
It's not bad. It's
I think
it's fine. It's just
you know,
saying compared to the other reveals, especially in the next stories coming up too.
right,
It's
but
just
I mean,
not as
I think
you
I
know.
think I also think maybe we should recognize that certain reveals, the significance or the importance of the reveals, are maybe correlated to the importance of the story. Really, right? So with all
Yeah,
the other things we talked about before, Heroes, Vesser Cold,
yeah,
trilogy, very central to the story. Here, the
yeah.
rebellion is very secondary. So
That's
who
true.
gives a
That's a big
fuck
part of it.
how quickly? The only really important thing about the rebellion, two things: A, Casca uses it as an excuse to go hunting for gold, and B, because what happened to Savian, right?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Right. So it's
So
kind of like, oh,
yeah, and there was foreshadowing because it doesn't
there
make sense.
was. Yeah.
Why Hedges thought he heard Savian and Corlin talking and mentioning the name Contis. He assumed in his misogyny that of course it'd be Savian as the man to be the leader, right?
Yeah.
and don't forget when Casca and the Inquisitor show up in Crease, who dips?
No,
Not Savian,
Jeff,
Corlin dips. That's
Jeffrey,
foreshadowing. Yeah, I know.
Jeffrey.
I hear
I
you.
know I'm attacking your beloved book, but I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. It's more subtly done. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just
It's
compared to all
very,
the other
very.
reveals,
Yeah.
it's just not as good as the others, so I don't like it as much.
Okay.
Simple as that.
All right. Well, your opinion's wrong, but it's cool. We'll take it.
No, you like all the other reveals less than this one, Jeffrey? You like that? You think this is a better reveal than Baez? Really? You think so?
Um,
That's what I thought, Jeffrey.
maybe
We're
I
moving
do.
on.
Maybe I do.
We're, you fucking.
I'm
You
just trying to
fucking
piss him off now.
contrary. It's working.
I know. All right. So we have our ratings for that chapter. Now we'll move on to our next segment, which is best meme of the week. Georgia boy, that's you. Yeah, take it away.
You. So we didn't have a meme for this week. Like Harrison said earlier, it's a bit of a quiet time for the first law community. It's been a good 4 years since the last book came out, so that's fair enough.
Womp womp.
So I've just gone back through the catalog and just picked one for shits and giggles. So we've got Lick Shots 419, who's been obviously a very active contributor, which is absolutely fantastic. And this is from the end of the first trilogy, and it's the meme of Obama putting a medal on himself, but it's twice, and it's Baez congratulating himself for blowing up half of Adua twice, and then it's Baez.
Oh, what a
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Well, thanks, Lick Shot from 2 years ago. We hope that you're exactly the same as you were 2 years ago, because that's what Joe would want, for you not to change. Or if you did change, please change back, because people shouldn't change.
I don't like change.
No, I don't. And you know what? Every time I think of Baez, man, I just think of how funny it is. Like, we know he's exactly the kind of guy that would commission a statue of himself, and he's gonna be the one to pay for it.
And a more fit statue, too.
You're right, stern. That
He hasn't changed body shape in like 1,000 years, and is like, no, the statue's a little too fat.
too on the nose, shall we say? Well, so thank you for that, Lick Shots. We'll thank your 2-year-old self for that. We appreciate it. Thank you. And now we'll move on to our final chapter read through, which is Times Change. This is a fun one, I think. So we start off with the perspective of the mayor, aka and she is standing on her balcony drinking some whiskey, right? Some spirits. Kind of like thinking about how she kind of misses Papa Ring's building, but now things change, right? Because obviously after all the shenanigans, people kind of left, understandably so, with all the violence and mayhem, right?
Yeah. I would have.
Yeah. And she had basically become queen of the far country when Papa Ring had died. But again, a lot of people like increased left, worried about the violence. then there was apparently like whispers that the gold was running dry. Then came word of another gold strike down south, and now people were pouring out a crease by the hundred, right? So now, basically, I like how it said like crease was her sole dominion, and it was next to worthless. Because
Yeah, I
she,
think it's funny. Carla has done it again. She came up with a great plan and didn't think about any of the consequences, or if there was one minor hiccup, if something negative happened. Did she have a backup plan? No, she did not.
no,
She
she didn't.
Good planner, but not very good at thinking things through, I suppose.
No, no. And I wonder if, because like Lamb won, obviously, in the circle. So I wonder, would Papa Ring have just given himself up? He's a man of his word.
I like how you said that. That was funny.
I don't know. Anyway, and she's just thinking back about to like how many, like it's been 20 years of her kind of running from one place, staying ahead, right, of the people after her, which we know in this case to be Glocta. And
You mean
everything.
the crippled?
Like
If we're in the trilogy, we use cripples.
right. And so apparently she did another thing. She did something where she basically split the territory with Kernsbick here for some reason. And kind of doesn't make sense.
It makes perfect sense. Kernsbick is literally the smartest, richest man in the entire far country.
Yeah, but this guy, I mean, he just wanted to build like a metalsmith, a forge, and like a manufactory. Like, I don't understand why he needs to.
I don't know why she didn't just like tax the
Yeah.
shit out of him. I agree. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I think this is just Joe writing this in just to be funny about like how things are circular sometimes. Like, oh, she's back to where she started, right, that kind of thing. But
Yeah,
it
probably.
just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. And so basically, this building is a giant building. They've been putting a lot of work into it. A bunch of chimneys. What else is in there?
I mean, it's just they're just basically building actual structurally safe buildings.
Yeah,
They're
but
not just.
this is for coal, right? The idea is for coal.
Yes, they're
Yeah.
looking. They're gonna be. They're setting things up to refine and produce coal.
And apparently it was coal that's what they have plenty of that there. And then she looks out the window and she sees two riders coming into town. And she sees that it's Shy South and Temple Delore. And it's like after 20 years of dodging catastrophe, she can smell danger at 1,000 paces, and her nose is tickling something fierce. So then obviously they get close. They get up to the Church of Dice. She gets down there, and she's like, "Is today the day that I take that bag that I have packed and leave, or what?" And she was like, "What's going on? You've come here in a hurry." And he's like, "Yeah." And so she's like, "Okay." So she goes, "What are you doing here?" And apparently he took a moment and produced like a magician's trick, an expression of intense earnestness. It put her instantly on her guard. Because Carla, she's like, she's smart. She's like, "Oh, yeah." She goes, "Whoa, what do you want? Like, what's going on? Where's Casca?" And he's like, "Well, so the thing is," and he goes, "So he's about a few hours behind us with all of his men." And how many? And she asked, like, "Well, how many men?" And she goes, "Oh, I'll say about 100." And he's like, "Okay." And what, the Inquisitor? He's like, "Yeah, the Inquisitor's gonna be coming with him too," because she knows that basically they're running from Casca. That's for some reason. And she goes, like, well, what's going on? And Temple tells, well, Casca wants a fortune in ancient gold that he stole from the dragon people, and that that I stole from him. And I like how she goes, "And where is this fortune now?" And Temple goes, "Stolen again." The woman Corlin took it. Turns out she's Conthus. I like how he goes, "It's been a day of surprises," and she goes, "So it appears." And where is Carlin? And Temple was like, "I don't know." She goes, "Okay, so what the fuck are we gonna do?" She doesn't have the men to fight him off. She doesn't have the money to pay him off. And she doesn't have no agent horde for Nakomo bloody fucking Casca, because she knows Casca how he is and everything. So but Temple goes, "I do have a suggestion." And she's like, "Is it the best suggestion I ever heard? Huh?" And he's like, "Well, circumstances being what they are, do you have that treaty? Now, we switch perspectives over to a couple of grunts in the company of the Gracious Hand, Corporal Bright and Old Cog, right? I don't fucking know.
Now, who do you think is the best man in the company? Corporal Bright or Old Cog?
Old Cog. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I think you're right. What about you, George? What do you think?
He's fucking old cog. We know nothing about him except that he's old. And his name's Cog.
And a cog.
He's a cog in the machine of the mercenary company, which nobody else can claim to be, which means he is absolutely essential, which means he's the best man in the fucking company.
Yeah. So they're in a column. So it's Casca, Friendly, Swarbrick, these two, and it's about in total 18 people in this column, right? The rest the rest are still walking. These are 18 people that were able to at least find some horses, and if they ran into Brachio's corpse. And if they ran to Brachio's corpse, that means they found the remains of the wagon. And if they found the remains of the wagon, that means they found no money. All right. And so, they're bitching about this campaign. They're talking about how bad of a campaign this one was. Even compared to the other ones, this is a bad one. Because Brachio's dead, Joubert's dead. And then they start talking about how we had stuff in the, there was the north that was super cold. Kadir was dustier. The last Styrian mess was bloodier, but this one was the worst. Just the entire shit show, which, if you think about it, it was, right? Take out Square Deal for no reason, Averstock, these other settlements that produce nothing, and then they get to Crease, then they go up to fucking Beacon, and it's just fucking mayhem, and then they lose.
Not to mention they've lost 80% of the people.
Yeah, right, because then they start out with 400.
Yeah. There's only 100 of them left. And they're in the middle of fucking nowhere. It's a fucking shit job.
And they're strung out across this road, right? These two are right here.
No, but like I said, these are these two are with the 18 men in the column. The other 80 people they're way back.
Well, that's what I mean. They're they're a
yeah.
part of this small group, and everyone else is just strung out across the road.
Yeah. And then they talk about, okay, well, Bright is like, well, we should Cog is like we still have to find that money. But then Bright's like, but didn't you keep a little bit back? Apparently they did. The both of them somehow they stuffed it in their armpits, or I don't fucking know. So he goes, so it's really just Casca's money that they're after. He goes, yeah, I guess so. They talk about how times change. Look at this place now. Look at Crease, because obviously they get to Crease, and it's a different kind of place. And now they smell something different, which is like an acrid sort of smell, which is obviously from what we know to be the coal processing. Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't live near a pollution-heavy area because I actually, care for my community.
Don't you got coal mines in Oklahoma?
What do you think we have here? We don't have any mountains.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't mine coal out of a flat ground.
That's right. You guys are mad flat. That's right. Okay, so basically, the column, they get up to the Church of Dice where the mayor is, and the mayor is standing out front well, General Casca, how are ya? And Casca normally probably would be playing along, whatever. He's tight. He's upset. He's like, don't pretend you're surprised. She's like, but I am. You've kind of come at a rather inopportune time because we are expecting somebody. Where's my gold? What? I don't know what I'm talking about. And then he goes, he asks her, where's the notary? Where's Temple? She goes, well, he's inside, of course. And so he just boulders right past her. And she's like, what the fuck? And then Inquisitor Lorson is there. And he walks in and she grabs him. And she's like, I must protest, Inquisitor. And he's like, my dear Lady Mayor, I've been protesting for months. Much good it has done me. This is an indication that Lorson obviously doesn't see the mayor as he doesn't think she's a potential rebel, but he does respect people's sovereignty, and he's obviously very fatigued with Costa at this point. And then we switch over, and then before we switch over, Cog and Bright notice that there's at least a half a dozen, if not more, fighting men of the mayor armed, and they're kind of their hands are close to the weapons, and they're like, oh boy, are we gonna have to fight? And then we switch over perspectives to Captain Dimbick. disgraced man of the Union, former army officer.
And obviously the best man in the company. He's the most
Right.
civilized, the most refined, the most loyal, the most
Kicked out of-
disciplined.
Kicked out of the army for liking cock too much. Or
You
was that
can make
Ganmark?
mistakes,
That was
Jeffrey.
Ganmark. Sorry.
Yeah, that was Ganmark.
Wrong-
Don't be homophobic, Jeffrey.
Sorry. Well, I'm not homophobic. I just thought they got kicked out of the army for the same thing. I don't know.
Gotcha.
And so, and Dimbick is obviously lamenting not being in the Union Army, not being in the Union, just a pitiful state of affairs that the company of the Gracious Hand is in. He does not. He thinks lowly, obviously, of Casca. And then he looks at this, this whole scene, and he sees Casca walks across the room, grabs a bottle of spirits, and then looks at Temple, who's sitting at a table, right, with like some papers and everything, but just some papers, right? And it's just like in the middle of the room, which is interesting. And he goes, Casca goes, here he is, the cuckoo in the nest, the serpent in the bosom, the Temple goes, the maggot in the shit. And Casca's like, why not? Since you mentioned it.
Hey,
Never
we
fear
also,
your
that means,
enemies.
I know we knew that serpents are real, but now we know maggots are also real here, which implies that flies are also real inside of
I think we've had flies before. I've got that written down.
Yeah.
somewhere.
All right. Well, we haven't known maggots are real. We didn't know if the flies just sprung out of holes in the ground and in the first law. And now we have confirmation that maggots do in fact exist in the first law. You're welcome, community.
That's what we're here for. It's a service.
Apparently so. So he asks Temple, where's the gold? Temple goes, I don't have it, but I do have this. And he holds up the papers. And Casca's like, I don't understand what it is. And then as Casca's looking at the papers, Inquisitor Lorson comes in. He nods to Dimbick, and Dimbick nods to him. He's like, interesting. And Temple goes, he says out loud, this is a treaty bringing Kreese and the surrounding country into the Empire. I suspect His Radiance, the Emperor, will be less than delighted to find an armed party sponsored by the Union has encroached upon his territory. And I like how Casca goes, I don't give a fuck about that. Where is my gold? And Dimbick is noticing that, like, oh boy, everyone's kind of like their fingers are either itching closer to their flat bows or their hands are, itching closer to their knives and swords. And then at this moment, he's like, oh fuck, is this about to pop off? And then at that moment, Inquisitor Lorson is like, wait a minute. What the fuck? And he goes, Superior Pike said most clearly, no Imperial entanglements. This expedition has been enough of a disaster without starting a goddamn war. And Casca's like, you know what? He's lying. He's lying, bro. He's lying. And then the mayor comes in. She's like, not this time. That document is endorsed by elected representatives of the townspeople of Kreese and is fully binding. And Temple even jokes that he says he considers it his best work. And I like this. And Harrison, if you want to talk about this, let me know. But he refers to it as making use of the principle of inviolate ownership enshrined at the formation of the Union, refers back to the earliest imperial claim on the territory, and is even fully binding under mining law. It's incontestable in any court. So and Casca goes, well, if we contest your treaty, it will have to be done in the court of sharp edges. And Lorson kind of like laughs at this a little bit. He snorts because he's like, oh, this is not even signed. And Casca goes, well, what if it were? It doesn't matter. You should know of all people. You of all people should know, Temple, that the only laws that matter here are the ones backed by force. The nearest Imperial troops are weeks away. And then Temple smiles. He goes, oh, they're a little closer than that. And at that exact moment, another movie moment, the doors to the Church of Dice were suddenly flung wide open. Soldiers trampled in. Imperial troops, gilded greaves and breastplates, broad-bladed spears in their fists and short-bladed swords at their hips, round shields marked with the hands of Juvens and the 5 thunderbolts and the sheaf of wheat, and all looking as if they had marched straight from antiquity itself.
I love that Casca goes, what the shit?
Yes.
And at their head is this old man, regal, informed, beautiful. He's armored and curtailed and professional. He's a god. And the mayor is like, Your Excellency, we are inexplicably honored by your presence. And Dimbik's jaw dropped. He's like, in his mind, he thinks Legate Sarmus.
Yeah, Legate Sarmus.
Legate Sarmus, who had crushed the Emperor's enemies at the Third Battle of Darmium, ordered every prisoner put to death, who across the circle of the world was famous for his military brilliance, infamous for his ruthlessness, who they had all supposed was hundreds of miles away to the south, standing before them now in the flesh. Dimbik somehow felt he had seen magnificent face before. Somewhere. On a coin, perhaps? And Legate Sarmus goes, "You are honored. For my presence is the presence of radiance. The Emperor, Goltus the First."
But he does put emphasis on the R. So he goes, "You are honored. Hello." Like that. And then basically they all, like, the mayor, he goes like, "Yes, here's the instrument, the treaty." And he goes, "I sign with the name Goltus, for this hand is the hand of the Emperor." I like how Dimbik goes, "With the flourish that would have been outrageous under any other circumstances."
"And so it is done. You now stand upon imperial soil, and are imperial subjects under the protection of his radiance. Warmed by his bounty, humbled beneath his law."
And then he looks around and he finally notices everybody. The mercenary goes, "Who are these people?" And then I like how Dimbik notes that even Casca had been like just dumbfounded, quiet during this whole thing. But then even he found his voice and he goes, "I am the Como Casca, Captain General of the Company of the Gracious Hand." And Lorson goes in, "And we were just leaving." And he grabs Casca, and Casca is refusing to know. He goes, "Nuh-uh, without my gold, I don't think so." And then some people like grabbed a knife, and then Lorson was like, "Fuck that." He goes, "That's enough. When we reach Starkland, everyone's gonna get a bonus. Every man." Swarbrick, meanwhile, in the middle of all of this, he's just like writing furiously in his notebook, like, "Holy shit, this is intense."
He's like, "I'm in the middle of history." Oh.
Yeah.
I like too Casca's the way Pacey does his voice acting here is good. He sounds so like pathetic at this point. He's like, "I shit on your bonus. Where's my fucking gold?" And he's like, voice is cracking, and he's just wheedling. He sounds like some saddled crow.
He does,
Yeah,
he does.
and Carla is doing a good job here too, because she's like put her hands on her chest, she's like, "Oh," right? And the Sarmus is like, "What is this impertinence?" And at this point, Temple goes, "Oh, I'm sorry about this." And at that moment, Sarmus backhands the fuck out of him, and he's like, "Kneel when you address me." This is insane. And then Big is like, "Oh fuck, we're about to die here because there's only 18 of them and it's Imperial troops. Oh fuck." So that and Casca's still fighting with Lorson, and he's like, "I will not be disappointed again." He's like, "Fuck this." He goes, "Men of the Gracious Hand," and he's telling them to draw their weapons. And then at this point, Lorson goes, "Now, Captain General Dimbik, take the traitor Nakomo Casca under arrest." And there was a slight pause. And we see pause, I mean, more for
I think
breath,
isn't this confirmation that Dimbik is the best man in the company?
he just needed a way in, and he goes, "Of course, Inquisitor."
Yes, finally, my time in the sun.
And then he makes like a movement. He makes like a signal, and the two flatbowmen raise their weapons to point him at Casca. And apparently, they still look surprised that they were doing it, but they were doing it anyway. And then Casca, he's just slack-jawed. He's like, "That's how it is? Is that how it is?" And then Dimbik's like, "How else would it be? Sergeant Cog, sir, take..."
Notice he didn't say, "Sir." It's a Sergeant Cog you're talking to. He snapped to with a military salute. He's like, "Sir."
That is right. That is right. Tells him to disarm Casca, Master Friendly, and Master Swarbrick. And Lorson adds to put them in irons for the trip. They're going to face trial on their return. And Swarbrick's like, "Why me?" And it's like, and Corporal Bright's like, "Why not you?"
George, what did you think of this Legate Sarmus stuff?
I think it's absolutely brilliant. Obviously, the reveal is coming up in a minute, but I love the.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. It's so funny.
It is absolutely amazing. And then I like how Corporal Bright makes it a big deal to like take Swarbrick's pencil and smash it, which is like unnecessary. And then when friendly he hears the word prisoner, he's like prisoner, and he's like smiles because remember how he was with safety, remember? And then as they disarmed and they're dragging away Casca, he's like, I'll be back because the Como Casca always laughs last. I'll be revenged. I won't be disappointed again. And then door just closes on him. And then Legate Sarmus is like, who was that drunkard? And
He's still a character.
Temple is all bloody, he's mouthing, he's like, no, Como Casca, Your Excellency, infamous soldier of fortune. And the legate goes, never heard of him. And then because Lorson's still there, so Lorson goes,
That's right. Yeah.
he bows and goes, Your Excellency, I pray that you accept my apologies and all inconveniences and trespasses. And sorry,
You have 8 weeks to leave Imperial territory. Any of you found within our borders after that time will be buried alive. Have you such a thing as a bath? After he's like, disgusting.
And he goes, okay, we're out. Thank you very much. Bye. And so Dimbick and Lorson leave. And they look at Casca, who just looks like, at this point, he was an old man now, but just a shell of himself now, manacled and everything. And he goes, I remember when I took you on, drunk, spurned, and worthless, I graciously offering my hand. I understand now where he gets the name of the company.
Yeah, because he graciously offered his hand to all these poor souls.
Yeah, right. Times change. Look at this, Swarbrick. Here's justice. Here's loyalty. This is what charity gets you. And it's like, oh my God. And somebody puts some socks in his mouth. Dimbick goes to Lorson and he says, look, it might be smart if we just kill them because Casca has friends among the company. But Lorson's like, understand, but look at him. It's a miserable picture. Yesterday's man, if ever there was one. And in any case, we need someone to blame. Then we switch over to perspectives. And it's an interesting perspective, this one, because I don't know who this is. In spite of the profound pain in his stomach, this guy is... he's feeling a lot of pain in his stomach, and he's resplendently erect upon the balcony. With the great...
He was what, Jeffrey?
With the great Legate Sarmus, ruthless commander, have allowed himself to display the least trace of weakness after all. And then, after some time, the mayor steps onto the balcony with Temple behind her and said, they're gone. And then he's just like, oh, thank Jesus Christ. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you realize this, but this is Yosef Lestek.
I'm glad that he got his final performance in. That's absolutely excellent.
He did have one fantastic performance left in him, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. And one that was real world applicable, you know?
Yeah. Because, and I like how he congratulates the mayor and Temple for like their good work. He's like, even for amateurs, you guys provided perfect support. You guys have a future in the theater. But Temple's like, did you have to hit me? And then he goes, you should ask yourself this. Would the terrible Legate Sarmus had struck you and blame him for your pains? Performance on the details, my boys, the details. I got to inhabit the role entirely. So this guy's a method actor. Which I thought
that was pretty obvious.
Yeah, I think Joe was making fun of, I was making fun of this. And he goes, oh, and thank my little legion before they leave because it was also an ensemble effort. 5 carpenters, 3 bankrupt prospectors, a barber, and a drunk. They made quite the honor guard. And I like how Lestek goes, that drunk scrubbed up surprisingly well.
And by the way, there's only one barber in Crease, and we know who it is.
We know who it is. It's that good dude that cut Glam and Golden's hair.
Yes.
And then Shy, she like gets out from her little hiding spot or whatever. She goes, did it really work? And like, yep. Does it really work? That's crazy. And then, the mayor's like, wait a minute. Are you sure they're going to believe it? Like once they're with the rest of their company, they've had time to think it over. And then Temple goes, "Look, men believe what they want to. Casca's done, and at this point, these guys just want to go home."
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much, a victory for culture over barbarity, for law over chaos, a victory for lying. And Shai just shrugs. She goes, "A win's a win. Fuck that." And Lestek, he finishes this off by saying, "All too true. As a young man, I found happy endings cloying, but call me soppy. With age, I have come to appreciate them more and more." And
Too
that's the end of that
true,
chapter. Boys, what do we think of it?
George.
Go ahead, man.
I am going to give this one a 9 out of 9. I fucking love this part. It's one of my favorite parts in the whole series. I know I dig on Red Country, but this part is brilliant. It's so good for so many reasons. Leggett Sarmus, like him doing his whole. He had one last performance, and like it's such a clever way to implement a side character into such an integral role, and it works because they're all exhausted, and they're all tired, and everybody's strung out. Normally it wouldn't work, but it's just enough, and they play it up just right. And they do have this contract, and I love the idea of that. Whenever the Imperial guys do come, they're like, "Oh, this is already signed." They're just like, "Okay." And I think it's just a brilliant plan on such a short notice, and I like how it's not done with fighting. And he's right; it's like a happy ending where they won, and there's a cost thing later on, but that's not the cost of this story, this section of the story. And it's really pleasant. It's really upbeat. It's really fucking funny. The fact you just slap Simple, I laugh every time at that. I just think it's so brilliant. And and it's also a Little People chapter. We get Carla Dan Ida's perspective. We get Dimbrick's perspective, the best band in the company. We also
Cog
get
and Bright.
Cog and Bright. And I think it's just done really well.
And
And Lestic, of course. And yeah, I just really, really enjoy it. This chapter makes me very happy.
Yeah. It's a very good chapter, it really is. I love it. I was gonna give it like an 8, so I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm gonna stick to that score. It's a very good chapter. I mean, you kind of nailed like all the reasons. I mean, it's hilarious. There's tension. We see the fall of Casca essentially, right?
Yeah.
The end of him. Lorson having a shred of common sense, like what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
Dimbick with his ambitions coming into play. And remember, we kind of saw this the groundwork laid before when we saw Lorson and him talking before. And I think Temple might have heard it when he walked by a tent. Remember that Lorson was saying something about like, there's a chance I could probably get you reinstated in the Union Army. Remember? Stuff like that. This is like where this kind of culminated,
I think that's it. This chapter is a lot of culminations of like different things. The payoff for Lestek, the payoff for Temple doing the contract in the first place.
Right.
We know that that Lawson doesn't want to be around the Imperials at all. All of these things are all set up throughout the book, and it all just comes together in this one little con. And I think it's excellent.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a good idea. And I think the first time I ever read the book, I actually thought that this was real up until the reveal. I was like, wow, I can't believe this Leggett Sarmus has appeared as well, because he gets mentioned as well. So it's not outside the realm of possibility that he would turn up in that exact moment.
It's crazy. Yeah, and like it makes you like you're like, what? This is crazy. There's no way. Hundreds of miles, and then you realize, oh, they just had the act. Oh, this works so well.
Absolutely. I'm gonna give it an 8 as well, Jeff.
You're gonna give it an 8. All right, there you go. All right, and with that, we'll move on to our final segment, which is our character spot. Boys, who are we highlighting?
Number 1, Corlin. She is Compass. Truly incredible.
Really incredible. My boy is tight.
I think I already said what I wanted to say about her, but I do like how she's in it. I do like how it's a red herring, and I do think it's funny that like most people are gonna read this book and be like, "It's obviously Savian. Come on, Joe." and then it just be it'd be the woman, and in this case, it works really well. And I am curious to see like what she could do. They have something that does the rebellion has something they never had before, funding, and I do think that sets it up well. So I hope Joe uses that here in the future. But Corlin is simple, but like in terms of the plot of the story. But she does have a lot of traits. You know, she's obviously very protective of her people. She's obviously willing to do whatever it takes. But she's also still kind. You know, she's a healer. She takes her time. She makes friends, and yeah. George, who's on number 2?
Yeah. She, it's good to see like just a very competent set of characters, and like you said, like the fact that everyone is going to assume that it's Savian, and it's sort of set up that way as well, with Hedges being a sneaky fucker, and I'm pretty sure I saw that guy in the rebellion and all that. So, but really, she doesn't have that much of a character to me. Like, we don't actually know that much about her apart from being competent and well, kind of ruthless as well. Like, she gets along with Shy because of that, so I get that. But yeah, decent character. Like,
yeah. I mean, there's not there's not a lot that happens with Corlin, in this book. We get some instances with her in the Fellowship where she does like ingratiate herself and makes friends with Shy, but never like too much of like a ha ha he. There's jokes galore kind of thing. She's always kind of like stern, but she does do well. She is the healer, and she sees that Shy is hurt. The first thing she does is goes to take care of her. The contest reveal is something. I mean, and you know what? If you really think about it, the way Savian was like good at leading men in the Fellowship against the ghosts, remember? Like, it was very natural to him to lead like a people into battle, right?
Yeah.
But generally speaking, like, the leader of the country doesn't go into battle a lot of times. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. And so that makes sense that he's like a general to her. Well, also probably a family member, probably truly is her uncle or something. I don't fucking know, but it makes sense, So that reveal, it was cool. It was cool. I liked it. It did just feel a bit flat, if that makes sense. But yeah.
So it's flat whenever you talk about it, but not flat whenever I talk about it. I understand.
Correct.
You put me in my place, Lord Chamberlain. I shall never question you again until the next book.
Thank you for remembering your place. Thank you.
But number 2, and more something that we all enjoy more, is Joseph Lustig. Whoa, dude, what a scene stealer. As exactly what he always wanted to be. He fulfilled his role. He lived his life purpose. He also played an incredible Baez in Adjua, if you guys haven't seen that.
If we haven't seen that.
And I love that he just takes the theater. He takes it seriously. He plays his part, and obviously it's a little overdone, but I love how that's still in there. Like, his drama character is in there, but he does the role, and I like how, like, he's really fucking old. He's probably like, at least in his 80s. He could be older than that, because he was already... No, because he was in his 60s whenever he did the play in Adjua.
I thought he was in his 50s, 40s.
Definitely not 40s. He was at least in his 50s, but I'm pretty sure he was in his 60s.
When he goes on his little tirade, doesn't he, to himself when he's when he's in the wagon during that attack, and or before, in one of the Little People chapters, and it sounds like he had a very, very long career, and he's like, and then like my body started to fail and everything like that, and that was a good long time ago. So
and now
he's definitely like over 60s, definitely.
Yeah,
like now he's definitely like, I would say over 60s. I would say maybe 70s, but I don't know about 80s. But I mean, who knows?
I think he's in his 80s. But we anyways, so I love that he is at the end there, he's like just standing regally up, and as soon as like he has the chance to breathe, like he mentally wills himself, this is my performance. I think that's so cool. And then he just
yeah. Oh, thank Christ. Like that kind of thing.
What do you guys think of Joseph Lustig?
Oh, I love him, man. I mean, the guy pulled out a fucking impeccable performance, his last great performance. You know what I mean? It was, and the thing I like how it was the Dimbic. He goes, I swear I seen that face somewhere before. Like, yeah, because you probably saw him in Agile or something, or you saw him in Crease.
Both.
Yeah, you gotta love the story of like somebody's like last hurrah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it.
And I just like, he's such a unique character, because obviously, like, a lot of the time in fantasy books, like, everyone's like a combatant. So the fact that this guy is just like a has-been actor, it's just very unique and fun character. So yeah, it's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Yosef Lesek, we thank you for your last great performance. We hope to see you some more because we hardly knew ye. That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support really does mean so much.
Join us next week as we finish up the book with The Cost, The Last Words, and Some Kind of Coward.
Make sure you follow us on all of our social media or send us an email at circleoftheworldpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And please make sure to rate and review us. Thank you all again for listening.
You are honored.